has been donated by different NGOs and charities in Barcelona until we even arrived to Tunis. And so, you know, the kind of aid that's being provided is the minimal that any kind of civilian movement can carry. And it's not like kind of you know, amount of aid that could provide or help you know, the humanitarian situation in Gaza. But as they mentioned, the organizers and the participants, it's the mission itself is not about delivering aid. It's about opening a humanitarian corridor and trying to aid the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. And in such illegal siege that's been imposed for decades, not just from October 23. No, this siege is being imposed since 2007. And since then, Palestinians and the civilian population in Gaza were very restricted into access to the, you know, kind of basic needs in Gaza. And the thing is, even with what happened after the October 7th, and imposing even more harsh measures on restricting the, you know, the kind of products and, you know, the commercial lorries to access to Gaza, these things even made it worse. So the main idea or the main message by organizers, by participants that we discussed all together, me and you, Matilda, on board with everyone, is not about delivering aid. And we can see from all the official response from all you know, the states and what they have offered so far before the flotilla arrived to the you know, the orange zone. Everyone was willing to deliver aid. So the question here, why no one from the international community was acting before the flotilla to try to deliver this kind of aid? And if it's that easy to access, which is one of the questions that I have heard from the participants, if the states are able to act and they are able to deliver those aid, why we didn't act for 2 years?
Mm-hmm. Now, we've been trying to get someone on board a whaler to connect. If you can see the live stream, a whaler is in the bottom right corner. It is the US military veterans ship, and a passenger boy has been trying to connect, but he is saying that his internet is being blocked. As we were discussing earlier, this is one of the first and key tactics that Israel imposes during the interception. It's a means of firstly concealing anything that may occur, but luckily the live streams are still coming through. Khalid, should we just do an update on the situation again? We know that the lead boat, the Alma, has been intercepted, and the second lead boat, which took the reins as soon as the Alma was intercepted, the Sirius boat, the interception is also confirmed. There was a mayday call and visual confirmation from another ship that Sirius was also intercepted. The Global Summit Flotilla says that cameras are offline for a number of vessels, and they believe that they have been boarded by military personnel. They are actively working to confirm the safety and the status of all participants on board. We will try to get you, as soon as possible, a number on how many boats have now been boarded. But of course, there are over 40 boats in this flotilla, and so this operation could take some time. As you can see from the feeds, there are boats such as Captain Nikos, where people are just waiting, and they may be waiting for some time. I think that that's something also very, very difficult for people on board. I'm getting some communication now, people who are just, you know, it's starting to wear them down, the waiting and the not knowing. Again, that's a key part of the training is how to stay calm when there are deliberate tactics trying to instill panic in the participants. We just had a feed come from Aurora. I'm hearing that Adara has also been intercepted. I'm not sure if that is officially confirmed. That is also one of the larger vessels. So if Alma has been intercepted, Sirius has been intercepted, and Adara has been intercepted, then they are going for the most high-profile ships and also the largest ships.
And we don't have any confirmed numbers of boats that's been intercepted yet, but if so far the 4 boats are confirmed, that means we still have more than 39 boats to go.
And actually, I think something really important to maybe to point out here, and just looking at this pattern, Alma, Sirius, Adara, these are the boats that carry also the most high-profile passengers. Khalid, again, earlier we were speaking about how protected are the people on board and how protected are the boats. And a big factor in that is the nationality of the boats. It's the flag that they sail under, and boats have different flags, but also the number of high-profile individuals on board. If indeed Israel is beginning with boats that have had the most media attention on them, then there is an indication that as the night progresses, boats with far lower visibility and perhaps far less protection will be going through the interception later into the night. And so the need to keep watching what is happening to the flotilla as the night progresses is really important in that respect. Already what we're witnessing is a flagrant breach of international law. Israel is intercepting a peaceful civilian mission in international waters. We still have live streams coming through from lots of the boats. It's unclear how long that will last. It's likely that those live streams will go down as the interception progresses, and visibility will become harder and harder to maintain.
Also, let's go through statistics and numbers regarding the Sumud flotilla. So far, the number of boats that was confirmed by the organizers, 45 boats en route to Gaza. We are talking about more than 497 participants from various of nationalities. According to the last confirmation, 46 nationalities. We are talking about 4 countries. That was exactly before the interception and before entering the orange zone. There are 4 countries, including Turkey, Spain, Italy, and Greece, are monitoring the flotilla. Just half an hour just before the interception, and once the flotilla announced that they are far, less than 90 miles far from Gaza, the Spanish defense announced that they will be observing and that they were demanding the flotilla to not enter any restricted areas imposed by the Israelis, by the Israeli forces, and holding the flotilla coordinators accountable of the risk of lives. How can we explain this kind of position just before the interception, even with all the news that we have received, Matilda, so far from the organizers and what they have been informed by the officials, the Spanish officials, that they will be around the flotilla for any kind of humanitarian emergencies.
Was this the Turkish vessel? Sorry, I was just getting some mixed information.
Yeah, the Spanish.
So the Spanish vessel, can you just repeat the question for me? I'm so sorry.
Don't worry. So the statements that were just released just before, half an hour before the interception, that the Spanish, defense said that the flotilla is entering a restricted area imposed by the Israeli forces, and that could risk the lives of the participants. And he argued the organizers and the flotilla to be more, reasonable, and to try to not, risk the life of the participants.
Yeah.
How do you explain all of this, especially in the context of having the Spanish officials informing coordinators, as we witnessed so far, that they were assuring them that they will be there, they will try to protect their citizens, and they will be part of any kind of emergencies and humanitarian operations in the area if needed.
I think that this just really embodies in so many ways how these governments have approached Israeli crimes for a long time. Right? The vessels, the Navy vessels, when they were dispatched with messages from the government. They were acting to protect their citizens, to protect the flotilla. But in reality, what we're seeing are governments trying to protect themselves. They are in an incredibly awkward position, these governments, if their citizens are really, really at risk. And let there be no doubt, people's lives on these boats are at risk, have been at risk. We were attacked, Khalid, both you and I, while we were on these boats, we experienced attacks that could clearly be fatal because these are attacks happening on vessels in the middle of the night, in the middle of the high seas. And so this is incredibly pressurizing for governments, European governments, governments that on the one hand have a duty to protect their citizens and will also feel the wrath of their electorates and their populations if anything does happen to their citizens. But who on the other hand, as we continually see, are under immense diplomatic pressure to turn a blind eye towards Israeli crimes. And there was a sort of culmination of this a few days ago, after the drone attacks on the middle of the night on the flotilla about a week ago. Was it the 23rd, 22nd September? And it was just after Israel had begun saying this is a Hamas flotilla, and then they had executed an attack on 14 vessels of the flotilla. The next day, European governments said, okay, and Italy dispatched its first naval vessel, and then Spain followed, and then Greece followed, and then Turkey followed. And I think that this was a sort of culmination of pressure. It was the point at which it became really, really apparent people might die, and governments had absolutely no choice but for maybe the first time to act to defend international law in international water when it came to Israel. Right? We saw NATO forces use military power to actually hold Israel accountable under international law and ensure the safe passage of the flotilla through those waters. However, I was going to say that has not extended now to the point of the naval blockade, right? And this was the case while the fleets were approaching the interception zone, 150 nautical miles from Gaza. These governments made it clear, or actually they were pretty ambiguous about it, but it has become clear that these naval vessels would not continue to support the flotilla as it approached the shores of Gaza. That they would either back out at the point they reached the naval blockade, or that they would in fact collaborate with Israel to facilitate the interception and the prevention of the flotilla from reaching the shores of Gaza with humanitarian aid, as is the legal right under international law, as Francesca Albanese, who was just on this feed with us, was explaining. It became clear that these governments would actually be collaborating. So already, when the interception zone was approached last night, the Italian naval vessel sent out a message to all of the boats, offering a final evacuation to participants before they reached the critical zone. The flotilla has had every opportunity to disembark its passengers on its long journey to Gaza. It's quite clear that is not what they intend to do. And as the flotilla says, any attempt to discourage them from reaching Gaza is not them being offered help, it is Israel being offered help. Because Israel is now in a position where its illegality in international waters and its occupation of the Gaza Strip and its siege of the Gaza Strip, which is a condition contributing now to genocide and famine, is being made all the more visible by Europeans, by Americans, by this global coalition of civilians. And that is a very uncomfortable position for Israel to be in. So any help that they can get from European governments to deter their citizens from creating this confrontation, from drawing the world's eyes to what's happening off the coast of Gaza, that is very helpful for Israel. It's not helpful for the flotilla. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, and you know, like based on your personal experience, and I know that your family during your deployment were in touch with the British officials to ask them for any kind of, like measures or kind of procedures that they will impose regarding the protection of the British citizens participating in the flotilla. And in terms of numbers, we got confirmation that more than 15 British citizens are participating in the flotilla. We are getting numbers of, I guess, almost 4 boats under the British flag. And, with what we have heard so far from the British officials, that they are still, observing the situation, but they haven't announced any kind of, procedures.
Yeah, this is indeed the case. And actually, I can speak to this on a personal level as well. So for anyone who's joining the feed and isn't aware totally of how Khalid and I relate to this flotilla, both Khalid and I were on the flotilla as it proceeded to Gaza. Khalid ultimately had to be pulled for security reasons, and for myself, I was anticipating to go with the flotilla until the end. And it was just a few days ago when the family boat, the lead boat which I was on, suffered catastrophic engine damage and had to be decommissioned. But up until that point, I was fully set to be on the boats today for this intersection. And my family were pretty worried. No less because the British government, as you have just described, Khalid, has been absolutely silent on the question of whether they will protect their citizens according to international law. Now, actually, right at the start of the flotilla, Labour MP Bel Ribeiro Adi, who coincidentally is my local MP, she asked UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer during a parliamentary session, Keir Starmer, will you protect British citizens from the global summit flotilla? And he totally evaded the question and made absolutely no commitment to do so. Now, as the flotilla has progressed, the threat to the lives of those on board has become higher and higher, particularly with Israeli messaging that this is a Hamas flotilla, false accusations of terrorism. And so, among others, my mother has been really piling on the pressure. She was calling and contacting the Foreign Office every morning and trying to get them to commit to some form of protection. And they told her, no, we will not protect the flotilla. There is no diplomatic protection that we will provide for the flotilla. Now, they said, I think later on, or they did say, that they would offer consular protection to British citizens if we are detained by Israel. This is something that they have to do. But when it came to the question of protecting their citizens in international waters, in Palestinian waters, according to international law, protecting the flotilla, the British government has said no to family members of those on board. And there is a growing number of British politicians who oppose this, because Britain is increasingly becoming an outlier on this front. I think over a week ago, Spain led a coalition of 17 countries, I think, pledging diplomatic support for the global summit flotilla and acknowledging its peaceful humanitarian intentions. The UK was notably absent from this, and they have remained silent on the matter. So I can also tell you that as we anticipate the British citizens and everyone else on board now to be taken into Israeli custody, there will be a protest tomorrow in Parliament Square, I think at 5 p.m. in the afternoon, organised by politicians who are trying to get the government to commit to this. I think it's been pointed out that Keir Starmer himself is a former human rights lawyer, and this is a question of enforcing human rights, and so it's perhaps even more notable that how silent he has remained on the question of applying human rights law when it comes to his citizens on the flotilla.
And in fact, this kind of behavior that actually even like risking even much higher the lives of British citizens, because literally are undercovering your citizens from any kind of diplomatic protection.
Yeah. That is really true. It's something that I felt personally, absolutely. When my mum got an actual no to the question, will they pledge diplomatic protection for Flotilla? I felt more scared. I felt that the risk to my life was therefore much higher. There is a very, very direct relationship here between the protection that governments will have pledged and the risks to the lives of people on board. This has been reflected in the risk assessment. Every morning on board boats, we would have a risk assessment where we would consider the likelihood of violence to those on board and whether it was greater to some participants than to others, and we would factor that into our security protocols. And we take Spain, for example. Spain is probably the European country that has been most forthcoming in declaring support for the flotilla and diplomatic protection for those on board. And so we have considered, I say we, the members on board as a collective, have allocated higher protective status to the Spanish citizens on board and to the vessels with Spanish flags as well. And so when Family Boat was decommissioned, we had another Palestinian journalist on board, right? They were sort of scrambling to try and allocate us spaces on different boats. And there was a Spanish boat called Adara, has a Spanish flag. And, my colleague with Palestinian heritage was prioritized for the vessel with the Spanish flag because this was seen to have more protective value. So yes, there is a really direct relationship between the protection pledged by these governments and how protected we consider those citizens to be.
I can see from the comments that people are asking about the 4 military vessels and where are they right now. So you mentioned that before, but yeah, that's a good question. But we can just reconfirm what we have mentioned earlier. That the vessels confirmed that they will be observing and watching the flotillas, but they will not accompany the flotilla while entering to the orange or the critical zone imposed by the Israeli forces. This is so far what we have received, and the situation is still on progress. We don't have any kind of updates from the boats itself. It seems that the interception is happening, and according to the organizers, 58 participants were on board on series. Is it confirmed? Is series that big size that can accompany 58 participants? Just to verify.
According to it's 38 on board Sirius. What I do know is that Sirius definitely has more passengers aboard it tonight, or prior to interception, than it did when it initially departed, because as various vessels have suffered irreparable damage, and there have been attempts to reallocate as many as possible. I know that more people have been on Sirius, and it's really at maximum capacity now. I don't know that it is as many as 38 people.
So basically, there were participants were reallocated due to the capacity issues with their boats.
Mm-hmm. And Sirius was the second biggest boat after Ulma. Well.
And we had the briefing this morning with the steering committee, and they mentioned regarding what happened last night and how the Alma boat was jammed right away, just when they were kind of interception that we thought it's an interception, but it was like kind of maneuver by the military vessels around. So they said that Syria will take lead just after any kind of events that ANLOC could experience during the actual interception. So having the both lead intercepted, I guess it's quite significant. especially that it has all kind of communication with other boats. Um,
Yeah, we've just been joined, I believe, by Moitin Ali, the Green Party deputy leader. Can you hear us?
Hi everyone.
Hello, thank
Hi,
you so much
everyone.
for joining us here on Middle East Eye Live. We'll step back to the previous conversation we were having, Khalid, about the UK government and the diplomatic protection or lack of diplomatic protection that has been pledged to the flotilla. Talk to us about what the Green Party is saying on this.
I think so far the lack of support from our government is quite shameful. To not protect ships sailing in international waters on a peace mission is frankly a little bit, very, very disappointing. Zach Polanski has put out messages in support of the Sumud Flotilla. I put out messages in support of the Sumud Flotilla. Our party line is that we're supporting this humanitarian mission. And it's disappointing when we see our governments refusing to take that line as well. There's lots of grandstanding that takes place, and often it's done for show. And when it really matters, people cut out the support, and that's what we've seen from this government. And we can't continue like that. I mean, we've got a genocide going on. We've got so many people being killed every single day. You know, on some reports it says that a classroom full of kids are being killed every single day, and our government is silent. It's just not acceptable.
Yeah, just trying to see if someone on Whaler can join us. I'm just sending the link. So let's see if he jumps on, because it would be great to get an update from on board. I'll just say join if you can. But yeah, am I right in thinking that there is a rally of some sort happening tomorrow in Parliament Square with the intention to try and get commitment from the UK government to ensure the safe homecoming of British citizens, the 15 British citizens on board the flotilla who we are currently witnessing being abducted in international waters in what Israel says will be followed with their potential incarceration. Are you aware of any action taking place in the UK tomorrow around this?
So there's a campaign that's already begun today. There's a campaign, a letter writing campaign to MPs and to people of influence to say that we need to encourage our government to speak out. That campaign has already started, so it's already underway. People are already trying to raise their voices, and it's important that more people raise their voices, because these people who have gone out there need our support and they need our solidarity. So it's incumbent on everyone with a moral compass to raise their voice right now.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. And this is something that I was very aware of while being on board. You know, even though I'm, was there in the capacity of a journalist, not as an activist. We have seen total impunity from Israel in the way that it treats people regardless of whether they are protected, carry protected status as journalists, as medics, as citizens, as humanitarian workers. And that is the situation, and that is the vulnerability into which all of these individuals are sailing. And so the importance of diplomatic protection, just in the name of law and the preservation of human life, it does feel very, very, very vital. And it's not just about the protection of their lives, but what will happen in the stages that follow. Israel has indicated is that people may be swiftly deported, or they may be incarcerated in Ketziot prison in the south of Israel. And we've also seen statements over the past few weeks from certain Israeli officials saying that they actually intend to criminalize these people under anti-terror laws and potentially detain them for prolonged periods. And so diplomatic protection feels also very, very important, not just for the protection of their lives, but for the protection of their freedom and for ensuring that these citizens are not criminalized for humanitarian mission and are swiftly returned to their countries of origin. I'm sure you agree.
We've heard from a number of people who have been on these flotillas before, who have come back and they've been detained by Israeli officials, and quite a few of them have complained of being tortured. So not only is it their incarceration that we've got to worry about, it's their physical safety that we've also got to worry about. I mean, no way should these people come under harm. These are aid workers, these are people who are on a humanitarian mission. They need to be protected. They can't, Israel can't act with the impunity that it's been allowed to act with, in a way where it can incarcerate people, deny their freedom. It's got used to doing it to the Palestinian people, and now ordinary citizens of the world who are taking a moral stance, they're having to go through the same thing.
Yeah, I've just been asked actually from the office of Belrabir Adi, Labour MP, who's also, like you, been a loud voice calling for protection, whether any of the ships that have been intercepted are flying under the British flag. Khalid, I believe you have a full list of the flags that the ships are flying under.
So far, we have confirmed that we have like around 4 boats under the British flag and 15 British participants.
Yeah, I mean, that's very exciting. I've also just, sorry, I'm getting that we have someone else who can live join, trying to head up. Kelly, sorry, would you mind just repeating that?
Yeah, absolutely. So talking about the measures that being taken by the officials in the UK. Oh, we got Tommy on board. Tommy. Hi.
Pleasure to be on. Thanks for having me.
Hi. So
Thank you
everyone,
so much.
welcome Tommy Marcus. Tommy was on board the family boat with Khalid and I, and you're now on a whaler. Tell us what's happening.
We've basically just been seeing Israeli boats circling around a lot of the flotilla ships, flashing lights on them, doing a couple circles, doing the big headlights, making big waves, and then not boarding them. So it seems to be more of a reconnaissance operation for now. Like, I think they're trying to garner exactly they're going to do these interceptions, because as you know, they've only, unless I'm mistaken, there's only 3 confirmed interceptions at this point.
Yeah, that's the information we also have.
So that is, it's been a couple hours at this point. So the feeling that we're getting on here is that it's going to be kind of like an all-night situation.
How are you holding up psychologically? That sounds, like, I suppose, a process that would undermine a lot of people's feeling of safety.
I'm okay, honestly. I knew what I signed up for. I knew that, unfortunately, that this situation was a possibility. I wish it wasn't. I want to get to Gaza. We're still slowly moving towards Gaza. We're pretty damn close. But I knew that being boarded by the IDF was a possibility. I knew that going to prison, like I lived will, was a possibility. It's what I signed up for. And at the end of the day, this mission is not about me. It's about the Palestinians in Gaza who are being starved, bombed, maimed, and erased, ethnically cleansed and genocided by the Zionist regime of Israel. That's currently just being really annoying to us. So that's the big difference. They're bothering us right now versus slaughtering children, which would be the big difference I would highlight.
It's a difficult feed. That's to be expected. We know that Israel will be trying to damage the communication Tommy, you said that you knew what you were getting into, that an interception like this has been intercepted. Can you just talk us through how you've been preparing on a whaler, especially because I haven't seen you for a few days? You know, I want to know how you guys have been managing it. How have you been preparing for this whaler?
Yeah, first off, sorry you're not on a whale, you know, we have a wonderful group of mostly United States veterans on this boat, and the preparations have been very intense. We've been preparing for every sort of situation. You know, I have to give a credit to Greg Stoker, who's a really wonderful veteran, sitting about 3 inches away from me currently, who's very intense about the preparations, and for good reason. We're up against not up against, we're just, you know, slowly floating with peaceful aid, but you know, we're currently being intercepted by a force that is known for killing innocent people. So there's a lot of films that's not a threat, although Israel has seemed to consider our humanitarian needs, such as food and medicine, baby formula, to be a threat to them for, you know, reasons that you can understand, because they want to starve everyone and kill everyone. But yeah, we've been preparing very very intensely on, you know, what could happen on a violent interdiction, on a kinetic interdiction. Things that we don't think are going to happen tonight, given the intelligence that we have. But you know, it's good to be prepared for everything when you're facing a genocidal regime that is hell bent on destroying anything that is in its path. And you know, the reality is the Global Salute Flotilla is a movement that is very significantly challenging Israel and opening eyes. So they do kind of view us as a threat in that sense. And I can't argue that part. I can only argue that we're completely peaceful and don't deserve to die. But besides that, I can understand why they think we're a threat to them. If we're a threat to the false reality that they play and show to the world, and that the Zionists of the world believe.
Moathan, I'm so sorry. I'm just going to ask. Thank you so much for joining us. Just while we have Tommy, to make sure that we preserve as clean a feed as possible, would you mind jumping off so we can preserve that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
You mentioned that you had intelligence that this perhaps was not going to be this was going to be a lighter interception. Can you tell us about what you've been told and what you anticipate is going to be happening?
Well, we've seen the way that 3 boats have been boarded so far tonight, and it hasn't been violent. And you know, additionally, I think you saw in the past week or two, Israel really try a PR campaign of calling us Hamas and terrorists and violent, and it didn't work. You know, because it's just so laughable. So, you know, while there were certain Israeli outlets in the past couple days pushing the Hasbara that, like, you know, they're preparing the hospitals for likely casual, like, we were able to see through that kind of stuff, and you know, the vibe on the board is not really fear. It's that, you know, we're mostly just, I think we're mostly just a bit disappointed because we got so close, and it seems like we're not going to make it. But yeah, intelligence really just being, you know, I'm sitting here on a boat full of United States veterans who serve their country. If they were to hit us with some sort of kinetic force and cause casualties on this boat, I think objectively that would be one of the largest international crises of ever. So that, I think that gives a little bit of comfort on at least on this boat. I do believe that, you know, Israel as an ally to the United States, we have veterans, and then we have myself and David, Jewish, fully Jewish, half Jewish. We have Jewish ancestry on this boat. My Jewish grandfather fought in World War II. David's Jewish grandfather fought in World War II. Like it's wouldn't really be good for the campaign of Israel being the harbor for Jewish peace to kill 2 Jews. So I think that helps us at all.
Yeah, and when you said David, you're talking about David Adler, I suppose, who was also one of our with you there. Something he's been really, really proactive in is trying to mobilise political action on the land as well as at sea. Tommy, you yourself, I mean, you've been reporting to a map following events going on. Can you tell us about how the Flotilla has been trying to create mobilisation by land as well as by sea?
Yeah, I mean, the hope here, the reason that we all signed up for this was not thinking that we ourselves are going to free Palestine. We're all realistic here. The hope is that with this mission and with this movement and with the kind of uproar of global solidarity, we inspire like a larger uprising. Because we're already seeing a drastic shift in public sentiment towards Israel, towards this genocide. People realizing every single day, like, wait a second, Israel really is just killing children, like, relentlessly, without regard for human life, and they really do view Palestinians as subhuman. They really do want to kill them all. They do want to ethnically cleanse Gaza, and there's a lot of horrible things going on in the West Bank daily as well. So that's the hope. Likely everyone on this boat is going to be spending a good amount of time in prison, and we want that prison time that we knew we were signing up for to be used not for public campaigns of free Tommy, free Greg, but for free Palestine. That's what's important, and that's why we're doing this.
Talk to us about this chapter ahead, this prison time that you just mentioned. Something that was happening on the boat well in advance was a collective decision about who would be signing the immediate deportation order. So there's a lot of background noise coming through. So just to explain this to listeners.
Hello?
Essentially, we've got someone else coming in. Hello, which boat are you
Hello.
Hello.
Good to see you.
We're supposed to see you all. Tell everyone what boat you're coming to us from.
I'm good, guys. I'm gonna hop off because my phone's getting on low battery.
Tommy, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Tommy.
Love you guys.
Take care of
See you on
yourself.
the other
Thank
side.
you. Yeah. See ya.
Oh, hello. Can't hear you very well.
Hello.
How are you guys?
That's all right.
Yeah,
How are you
I'm good.
doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, good to see you. Very good to see you guys. So yeah, we've been circled twice by Israeli ships. And we heard rumors that they've been spraying gas and water on some people. I don't know if you heard of that or if you have confirmation of that.
We haven't received any confirmation yet. Can you repeat it again, sorry?
Okay. Just so you know, if it cuts, it's because the internet is going up and down, as you know. So yeah. Oh, do you have a camera of my ship here? Do you have access to the cameras?
So far, can you see the CCTV that we have on screen? This is the only CCTVs that
Okay.
we have access
All right,
to.
I see. All right. Do you have news on the other one? Is they all alright? As much as you know, as far as you know.
Yeah, let's see what the latest update is actually that's been confirmed. It's been, to be honest, the comms have been pretty patchy, and since the confirmation of 3 boats intercepted, there has not been further update. And the last we heard from who's on a whaler is that there is a lot of sort of inactivity. There's a lot of boats circling and not boarding. Again, just to emphasize to everyone that with 43 boats in need of interception in Israel, guys, this is likely to be a very drawn out interception.
Yeah. It's going to be a very long night. I was expecting them to be catching up. Yeah.
Mhm.
But they started early, you know, they started at 8, I think. So they want to be home for breakfast, I guess.
Do you have any like indication when you're likely to be intercepted? Your boat is likely to be intercepted.
Sorry, say again.
Have you had any intel from your boat about when you anticipate you guys are facing interception?
Absolutely no idea. I have absolutely no idea how to guess that, because they
Is there any communication by the crew?
Yeah, the communication have been jammed many times. Internet has been down many times. We even had like close encounter of the Zionist type, where they got really close and they spot us with the wait a second.
And can you describe to us like the situation around you guys right now?
We are on the watch, keeping all eyes open, except mine because I'm too busy talking. But yeah, so we are checking around. You know those ships, they are really ghost ships. It's quite crazy. They appear out of nowhere. I weren't expecting that. They are big, they are fast, and they appear really out of nowhere. So when they use a spotlight, you kind of see them. But as long as they shut down, they disappear in the night, you know. So it's quite impressive.
Naveed, I didn't totally get which ship you're on. That's on the
Katarina.
Katarina.
We had a CCTV of Katarina earlier. Yeah.
Sorry, say again?
We had a CCTV of Katarina earlier.
Oh, cool, nice. So it works. That's good news.
Yeah, it works. It's not on our feed right now, but yeah.
No,
it is working. How many people are on Catalina? Have we lost connection? Let's hope that.
Nader? I guess it's normal with these circumstances that jamming communication could cause a lot of issues. So far, we haven't received any kind of new updates from what we have informed.
There is a potential that the site may go down. We've been told.
Potential of?
The site going down, the website going down. So
the tracker went down. So now the website.
It said that this is a potential risk. It may go down for 10 minutes. This is actually something that may need to be done for security measure by the global flotilla due to a potential cyber attack that they need to defend again. They may take the feed down for about 10 minutes. If that does happen, they will work to swiftly restore the feed. This is, of course, the feed you can see on our live of various vessels which have CCTV set up on board. This is all coming through the global flotilla. And so, just be aware that. Hello, we have Naveed back.
Yeah, sorry guys, internet time again. Just time for a bit of chocolate.
Okay.
So what was I saying? So we have confirmation that Florida saw the water cannon.
A water cannon.
Florida?
Water cannon, yeah. You know. Ulara or Florida?
Underwater cannon attack.
Okay, Ulara is underwater cannon attack.
Ulara is underwater cannon attack. Okay, let me see if we can get verification on that. We have eyes on that. Is that something that you guys are able to? Where are you getting that information?
Where do you get the information from? Alex, where did you get the information? Okay, from one of the internal chats that we have, like the emergency chat.
Okay, we're trying to get verification.
No visible signs of attack.
Sorry, say again?
No visible signs for any attacks.
I'm sorry, say again?
You don't have any visible signs of the attack. You didn't see it.
Oh, we didn't. This is like written, we got the text. The only thing that we've seen so far it's just boats being circled around with big spotlights. That's the only thing we had seen. We haven't had an intersection right next to us. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So yeah, the closest ships we have, they haven't been intercepted yet.
Navi, what we can tell you, and people watching, what we can tell you is that this also appeared to happen to Adara. Adara was the third ship that was intercepted. That interception began with them being sprayed with water as well, and having bright lights shone on them, and also shouting directed at them by the commandos.
Wait. White light, water, and what?
And shout noise. So sort of attack on the senses. If we have, I mean, what I can say is during our training, we were led to expect that before there being any kind of physical attack, Israeli will lead with, well, initially psychological attacks, these boats being encircled, the communications being shut down, and then there are sensory attacks, I suppose, before physical attacks on your sight, on your hearing, attempts to potentially disorientate passengers, to cause fear, or to, if Israel is in any way sort of fearful of receiving aggression, to disarm passengers, although have to emphasize that none of the passengers on board the flotilla are armed and there are no arms on board these boats. And so what we are hearing is that the interceptions have not been entirely light, as described. There has been water cannon attacks, and there has been use of bright lights to temporarily blind, partially to disorientate passengers on board. We're trying to get more details on that front. We also have lost Navid again. Navid is on board Catalina, and his internet connection has been cutting in and out.
Hello, sorry, I'm back.
Okay.
Every
So
time he
can you
comes
refer to
back,
us-
we get a really, really joyful
Before losing you again, can you confirm to us how many participants on board?
We have 7. Catalina, we are on 7.
And what nationalities and what flag are you under?
We are on the German flag.
And nationalities on board?
Sorry?
Nationalities on board.
We have Spanish, Brazilian, Lithuanian, and Belgian.
And can you see any other boats in your eye line?
We can see a couple of boats in our island, but none that's being intercepted right now, I believe.
Okay.
We can see a boat being intercepted right now.
Okay. Can you identify which boat? Or
However, I've heard that Yulara is being intercepted, and I think you can actually see it.
Yeah. Heard the same, but I haven't had final verification on this. Confirmed,
Okay.
I have confirmed water cannon attack on Yulara. This is confirmed by cameras. Cameras. So yes,
Yeah.
I mean, thank you for sharing that information with us.
Thank you so much, guys.
thank you so much. Take care
I
of
can
yourself.
give you more info.
Take care. See.
Are you off, Navid?
Sorry, say again?
Are you with us, or do we have to say goodbye?
I'm sorry, say again, I couldn't hear you.
I said, can you stay with us, or do you have to jump off?
I can still stay. Happy to be there.
Perfect.
Just I have a question.
Please.
You said that they had 3 things when they intercept: water, flash, and sound.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
Those okay. Okay, so you haven't had any mention of gas.
I have not had mention of gas. I've had also confirmed water cannon attack on Yulara, and then something that was shown on a live feed. The boat rapidly approached Yulara several times in the night, sailed alongside them, and shone a bright light on them before retreating. The final time, they also fired water on them, shone the bright lights again, and shouted at them in Hebrew. So yeah, that's what we've had for Yulara, and that's very, very similar. That sounds identical to actually what was occurring to Adara. I think Navi is open, but yeah, if you were telling us that has been a pattern of attack now.
And regarding the website, especially that the audience keep asking about it, the organizers just informed us it could be a potential attack.
This is with the website.
Yeah.
Potential cyber attack on the website. And just to recap, the pattern of attack that we have seen on vessels has so far involved vessels, naval boats circling them, approaching and retreating repeatedly, and then approaching and flashing bright lights onto the boats, and then approaching and flashing bright lights combined with water cannons and shouting in Hebrew. So far we have, I think, 4 boats now confirmed intercepted. If we can add Yalara to our list, that is Ulna, Sirius, Adara, and Yalara. There may be more, but those are the only ones that we can solidly confirm at this moment. In fact, I'll just not Yalara.
And so far the confirmed number of boats is 3. This is what they confirmed. I guess they still
Yalara maybe.
to confirm any more. It's still ongoing, I guess.
Now
Maybe
until we
involving more CCTVs.
Actually, we can talk a little bit about the threat of cyber attack that has plagued the flotilla the whole way. On the family boat, one of our passengers, their primary function on the flotilla was to defend it from cyber attacks. While we were approaching over the past week, he got several identifiers that there were attempts to hack the IP addresses on board the family boat, the lead boat. If a device is hacked, given the communication happening between the boats of the flotilla on protected messenger chats, all of this information becomes vulnerable. As well as that, we've had in the last few days, I think, phones of people on board the flotillas being contacted with messages from unknown Israeli phone numbers. And we have had computers crashing as well, unexplained computers crashing. Not to be conspiratorial, but that happened to my computer just a moment ago. So of course, these could just be coincidental technical problems, but it's definitely something the flotilla is extremely aware of, cyber attacks. And right now, their website is...
Hello?
I love that every time we leave you, we get you back with like some personal hello.
I'm it's like having a surprise anytime, you know?
Yeah, I know.
Like, oh, is that a gum? No, it's not. So yeah.
Now so I can get you back.
So so far we're here. We have Ovaila not far from us. But not many information, to be honest. We have no idea how long it will take. We have no idea if they have like a specific strategy, you know, like are they going from biggest ships to smaller ships? I don't know.
And
it does.
Are you still in communication with any of other crews around?
We have the organizer who is in touch, and captains and crews are in touch. So we when we have the comms, we're in touch.
How is morale on board?
Sorry?
How is morale on board? How's everyone feeling on board?
I think it's good. Is everyone fine?
Yes.
Yes. The smoker is smoking a lot of cigarettes. And chocolate is going quickly.
I guess we.
Apparently we have been hiding the wine bottle somewhere. Sadly, I think it's not true.
I believe that it's strictly against flotilla protocol to have any alcohol on board the boat.
No. So we just have chocolate. That's the only.
When you're not substance.
Yeah, one way we can say we have a lot of chocolate. It's fun. So Mora is fun.
We're being joined, I believe, by Chris Small, who is a passenger.
It's a tweet from the Amazon waters.
Sorry, no.
Yes.
What's going on, everybody?
It's an honor here.
Likewise,
Okay, back the microphone to someone more cool than me.
Oh, no, you cool.
Naveed, Chris, Naveed,
Wait, I'm taking speaker that.
Nice to meet you, brother. Godspeed, with you, Godspeed.
Okay. Well, take care and see you back in London.
That's right, brother.
Free
See you
Palestine.
soon, brother. Free Palestine.
See you.
See you.
Take care of yourself.
Chris, what we
So,
are
Chris.
right now is the interception of the Global Summer Flotilla. It is a process that you have experienced firsthand. Can you tell us about your experience of interception at sea by Israel?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what they're about to experience is the IOF is going to board the ship and pretty much try to take over it. They're going to have them detained, just like they had us detained for. It looks like they'll be probably sailing with the IOF for the next 10 to 12 hours to be transferred over to the port of Ashad. That's where we were taken to on Andullah. And, unfortunately, that's where I was assaulted, but hopefully that doesn't happen on this mission. There's a lot of volunteers involved, a lot of countries involved. It wouldn't be a good idea for them to try to assault anybody. So, after they're being transferred, they'll have the opportunity to either be deported right away, or if they want to see the judge, then unfortunately they will have to be put in prison.
So I believe what Israeli messaging is agreeing with what you're laying out for us, Chris, that the intention here is for them to divert the boats towards Ashdod, the port in Israel, where there'll be 600 police officers or military officers to process the detainees, and many of them will be transferred to Ketziot prison, where they will be held in detention. Chris, you said that during your detention, you were attacked. You experienced violence at the hands of the Israeli military. What exactly happened in this situation?
Yeah, I wasn't attacked by or assaulted by the IOL specifically. It was with the immigration authorities are the ones who assaulted me. They threw me to the ground. They put their knee in my back. They twisted both arms behind my back. They used my chains to choke me, and they separated me from my crew. They threw me up against the wall, face first, a few times. They said some racist remarks, and then they heavily guarded me throughout the entire process of the deportation on whether you were going to go to prison or not. Obviously, me being the only black man on the last mission, out of the 21 volunteers, I knew that I was on a high risk. But this mission is a little different. There's a number of people of color. There's a number of African Americans there, including Nelson Mandela's grandson. So, once again, they have to be aware of the situation that they're going to be treated differently. And unfortunately, it confirmed that Israel, once again, uses racism and an apartheid system to try to silence us and try to deter us, but we're not going to be deterred.
Just so everybody listening is aware of all the terminology, IOF is the preferred term for the flotilla to refer to the Israeli military. The Israeli military refers to itself as the Israeli Defense Forces, the IDF. At Middle East Eye, we don't use this term. We refer to the Israeli military because it is not journalistically accurate to characterize this military as a defense force when it is aggressing a genocide. What does IOF stand for, Chris? Tell us that.
Yeah, occupation, or offense, if you want to say. They are not defending anybody. They definitely are not defending a population that has more children than anybody. And as you know, occupying international waters is violating international court of justice ruling that they're not to block humanitarian aid by land, air, or sea. So they're on occupied waters. They occupied Palestine, and they've even admitted to this.
Free the
as
Jews,
well.
fuck Palestine. I hope a bomb drops on your guys' boats.
Well, that was interesting. We appear to have suffered our own cyber.
Yeah, of course, that's going to happen. But that just shows you right there the amount of hatred that they have. But they don't understand it's not about being Jewish. This is about a systematic oppression of people. And, you know, once again, you know, they've used these tactics for the last 7 decades with the Palestinians and controlling the borders and controlling what goes ins and out of this border didn't start on October 7th. We have to remind people that this siege has been going on for almost 2 decades. And the initiative with the flotillas has been going on for nearly 17 years. And we will not stop until, once again, Israel is held accountable.
Yeah, and actually, our previous guest, or a couple of guests ago, we had Tommy Marcus on, who was speaking as a Jewish American about exactly what you just said. He's on board the Awela boat, also with David Adler, another Jewish American, who wrote a really, really moving letter about how this interception is happening on Yom Kippur, which is the holiest day in the Jewish calendar. We'll see if we can try to get David on later. I know that they're struggling with their internet connection at the moment. But I really recommend everyone to go and read that letter, which is, I think, posted.
And talking about apartheid and, you know, a very systematic risk, have seen today, for example, people were throwing, the Holy Quran from their boats just because they were worried to be assaulted by the Israelis during the interception.
Yeah.
How do you explain that?
Yeah, I mean, it's true. I can tell you, and from my own experience, when I had to go to prison 2 months ago, that they threw away every kafia that I had. They threw away every Palestinian shirt that I had right in front of me. You know, right in front of them. They take all your belongings out. They dump it on the table. And if you have anything that they don't want you to have, they're going to throw it away. And I can guarantee they're going to throw away the Quran. They're going to throw away their kafiyas. They're going to throw away any Palestinian, whether it's a sticker, whether it's a shirt, anything, they're going to throw it away. So for them to make peace with it and give it a place of rest in the Mediterranean, I understand that.
Part of the training that we had, you remember that you were talking about how it's very highly, if you are looked like in a certain ethnicity, you will be, with a high risk of being assaulted.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, once again, I can confirm that as well. You know, there are 14 of us that went to prison. Me and my Arab brother, Hassan from Tunisia, were the only ones to be dropped off at the border of Jordan. You know, out of the 14 of us, and out of the 14 of us, 12 of us who were white, they were able to be deported from Tel Aviv airport straight to their countries. They've never done that before out of these flotilla missions where they just drop off the volunteers at the border of Jordan. But once again, this confirms that everything that happened to me and to my Arab brother, him and I were both left in there for 5 days. We were left in there the longest. Being dropped off by the border of Jordan, this shows and proves that this was all racially motivated. There's no excuse for it.
I think that the flotilla has really tried to absorb some lessons from your experience. We were talking about earlier how with the global flotilla, one of their priorities has been trying to distribute nationalities, ethnicities on every boat to make sure every boat has a representative spread, and also with these security drills, the interception drills. When we were on board, we were really, really specific about how we ordered people to make sure that white people, Palestinian people, men, women, people were sort of like distributed as widely as possible. Is this something that, you know, have you been aware that the Summer Flotilla has been trying to do this? Do you think that it could help to have like that mixed distribution in every boat, and that mixed distribution with how people are sitting as they are intercepted?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we did the same thing with our boat. Everybody was aware, me being the only black man on board. Everyone was aware that Hatcham being the only Arab on board, that he and I was going to be at risk. So I sat specifically next to one of the MPs from France, Emma, who's also on the salute as well. And it was by design that sure that most vulnerable sit in between white people, mostly women, to protect us as well. And I think that's a really good initiative to have it mixed on every flotilla, a part of this mission as well. But when it comes to an apartheid state, that's the problem, is that they can do whatever they want. And unfortunately, even though they'll do what we can to make sure the boats are diversified, when we get to the port of Rashad, we don't have that much power anymore. Once we're transferred over to the prison guards or to the immigration authorities, we pretty much got to play by their rules. Now, from what I remember, a lot of us in the group was able to stay together. So that's a good thing, is, and you're not going to be